Okay, so Coach Saxon, I've got a friend. Okay, he coached for a while. He was an average coach. He got out of coaching to raise his kids, and 10 years later, he's back coaching high school again. How do you take over a program and get it to back-to-back state championships in under 4 years? Can you walk me through that so I can share that with my friend? And I'm asking.
Wow. Well, it takes some talent, that's for starters. But I think honestly, with my first year, you, you you have to, this like culture eats people, and culture can then provide a lot of success. And I think year one, making sure everyone in the program knew that we were just trying to do things because it wasn't in a good place, right? The year before that, they had 5 wins, a lot of turmoil, a lot of upset parents, families, people, getting everybody on the same page early of like, hey, listen, we have to build this from the ground and it's not going to happen overnight. And everyone on the same page is, hey, expectations need to be realistic. But we got to put systems in place to not win right now, but to eventually win. And for some of the girls like that were seniors, that was kind of hard for them to handle, but I keep them always in the loop. Right? I never forget them. They started, the offense that we started then is the same offense we're running now. Defensive philosophies that we did, 5 years ago, they are the same defensive philosophies we use now. So although they may not have had the talent or the ability quite yet, given that they didn't get this type of system till then, they started it and believed in it and had some tough losses, but then got some good gains towards the end of the year. But I'd also have to say the biggest, I mean, I'd have to attribute one of the biggest pieces to our success was getting into my sixth, seventh, and eighth grade junior program and getting them all running the same stuff so that when they got here, it was kind of just the table was set. And then I'm not spending hours teaching the offense or hours teaching defense philosophy. It's already there. And now it's more just scout prep. So yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of good people. But yeah, 4 years. And like I said, that's not negate the talent that you get once in a while that you use. But yeah, it's been a process.
Yeah, it's so funny. Our youth program, our sixth through eighth grade practices before us every other week. And one of the coaches came up to me, he said, Coach, the press you gave us, we want to stay with it. And he goes, we didn't shoot very well, but the press did everything for us we wanted to do. So, I'm doing the same thing. I want the younger guys to understand we're going to get creative, we're going to innovate, but right now we got to learn how to run a route.
Yes.
We got to learn how to set a screen the right way.
Correct.
We got to learn how to get up and on the line and how we pressure the ball and all those things. And it's funny how kids will, okay, we'll learn that. But then they go do it and they want to do something different that they've, their brain has already been taught how to do. And it takes a while to get that brain set on this is how we do things. So where do you start? What's that first couple practices look like? Give me an idea of the type of drills you're doing to build that foundation.
You talking juniors or like the varsity?
I'm talking about your varsity.
A lot of ball toughness drills.
Give me an idea what that looks like. So if we're gonna have some parents listening, we're gonna have some youth coaches listening. What does a ball toughness drill look like?
So we do it a couple different ways. One, well, first of all, with the girls, right? Guys, sometimes you have to tell them to kind of hold back a little bit once in a while. They're pretty competitive. Not always, right? But the girls, getting them like literally slapping each other,
right,
and very physical with one another, and making them realize that if you are passive when we're playing defense in practice, you are not helping us when we go play some of these really good teams.
Right.
So that's first and foremost, getting the girls to realize that you're not hurting your friend, you're helping her get better. Right. That's like the ground. But no, so I mean, the age-old monkey in the middle, where you got to pass the ball, follow it, bring a lot of pressure, hack of the girl. They got to pivot for 3 seconds, so they can't turn their back to the where they want to go. Otherwise, it's a turnover and they lose a point. And then we also do a drill where we put 4 girls block, elbow, elbow. and we put 4 defenders in there, and there's always got to be 2 defenders on the girl with the ball, but they can't dribble and they can't move that pivot foot off the elbow or the block. So they got to withstand the double and make a good pass with 2 other defenders waiting in that square trying to steal it.
I forgot about that drill. I love that drill. All right.
Yeah. Let's say
I gotta implement that. Do you have any? You might have to video that and send me how you're doing it. I love that drill.
I can do that. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah. So you make them keep a pivot foot down. They have to get the trap on them, and then they have to make a decision.
Yeah.
So it can't be hot potato.
No.
Okay.
No, can't be hot potato, and they have to accept the double.
And what are you trying to get out of that? What, obviously the physicality of it, but tell me what you're trying to get out of it from an emotional side as well.
Yeah, I mean, so it's them understanding that, okay, it's an inner brain working of, I can handle this double team. I can, I see a double, I'm not going to panic. I've been here before. I can pivot, I can move, I can create space, and then I can make a nice pass to a teammate. I think early on the girls panic when they get the pressure in that double team, and understanding and knowing they can go back to that bank of, like, I've handled this before. It pays large dividends in games.
Yeah. You've been to 2 straight state championship games. I mean, there's coaches that have been coaching for 30 years that have never gotten past the Sweet 16. You've coached in 2 state championship games. Tell me what it's like when you get there, or maybe that next open gym after you go to the state championship. How much are you relaying to the girls, this is why we did what we did on November 1st. This is why we started the way we did to get to this point. This is why you're here. Does that happen?
Yes, it happens often. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up a phrase that we use in the entire program, which is strong, simple, and consistent. It's something that I've used even at my previous school when I started the program at St. Anthony, but there's sub words and verbs and attributes of being strong, simple, and consistent that we talk about regularly. But those little tiny things, it takes a strong person to do those little things right all the time. So I bring it up when I notice that at practice or at an open gym where someone's going maybe 75% versus 100. I'll walk by and be like, we don't get to state with you going 75%.
Right.
So it's a constant reminder that when we did get there, those couple of times, it was on purpose. There was a reason why. It wasn't luck. It wasn't, we got handed it. We got both times. We had the toughest section on the state. But it doesn't happen if you even put your guard down for a second. It takes strong, simple, consistent kids to do that.
Yeah. When I was at Maryville and even at Laverne, I'd be in these administrative meetings and we'd talk about our vision or our mission, and somebody it'd always be somebody new that would bring up the word excellence. We need to work in excellence to our mission. And everybody in the room that'd been there for a while with me would laugh, and they would look at me, and they're just waiting for me to go, okay, explain what excellence means. What's it look like? How do we get there? Because my word was competence. And I like your 3 words even better. Strong, simple, consistent. That's competence to me.
Yeah.
Show me you can be strong. Show me you can keep it simple. Show me you can be consistent. Forget about excellence. Show me those 3 things, and I've got a ball player, and I've got a ball team, right? Isn't that the whole idea?
100%. Yeah. And a lot of it, like, you would do this a lot for us when I was at Maryville, like, and I don't even know if you knew you were doing it half the time, but making people and kids realize where their strengths are, and then also knowing where they weren't, right? Like that's, so being strong is also another way we describe that, as being humble and having the ability to look in the mirror and what can I bring to the table, and being able to have the conversation with me, like, and being comfortable saying that's not your strength. Yeah.
Yeah. It was always conscious. I didn't want you guys to know it was but that's how my brain works. I'm looking at my players, and that's why, probably the most growth I ever had as a coach is when you brought me Eric Grunwald. because I had to learn how to coach a kid that played and thought the game almost 180 degrees different than the way I played it as a player and the way I saw the game.
Yeah.
And by the time I got through 3 or 4 months of coaching Grooney, it woke me up that I have to let him be him. I have to put him in a situation where he can be great instead of trying to turn his game into something that can fit us. And that was such a great lesson for me. And, you know, you fit me. I recruited you from the day you were 16 years old. And I knew, you know, you're the only kid in 25 years that's been my captain as a freshman. You know, I've never had a freshman captain before, but Grooney was different. He came in as a transfer and I didn't know about his game. I just knew he could play, you know, so I love that that is your focus. Let's find out what your skill set is. Let's get that really, really strong. Let's teach you how to do it in simple ways. And then let's be able to repeat it. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, how does that kid react that doesn't have the skill set they think they have? You know, they think they're Caitlin Clark and, you know, they're more like Ed Clark.
You know, that's where a lot of film prep comes in.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of proof in the pudding. And I think it was a early on at Brookfield East. I think when we started to make it just a normal conversation that everyone's trying to get better and that everyone needs to understand where their strengths are, where they can get better at, and making that the norm, it became pretty easy. I mean, I just had a conversation with a player yesterday. She asked me, and obviously I want them to be very comfortable with me as well. She asked why did I come out in that stretch in the second half, and you put so and so in? I said, well, she's really athletic, and athleticism isn't your strength. And I wanted to utilize everybody's strengths. I wanted you to get a breather, and I wanted to utilize her strength of athleticism in a stretch of a game where it was really important. And it was just that simple. Right? Like you aren't the most athletic player that we have, but you're very smart. You can put yourself in a good position to play.
Yeah.
It was hard early, I think, and some kids thought they were really great. And doing that in a delicate but efficient way is really important. And I'll never tell a kid like, okay, if you want to be a scorer, here's all the drills that I want you to do this off season to be a scorer. I would love for you to score 20 a game. Are you kidding me? Like why would I say no? But right now we have 4 girls on the floor that can do it better than you.
Right.
And so if you want to play, the piece we need is a dog, a rebound, a screener, a lockdown defender. That's what I need.
It's so funny. I just wrote 2 weeks ago, my blog for my website was basically that idea. You know, you need to be coaching families as much as you're coaching the kid.
100%.
So Sarah or Allison understands this is why you're in the second group. We've got 4 scorers in that first group. I need you to come in when they're when they're off the floor. I need you to come in and score. Yes. But if I put you out there, you might get 2 shots a game. But if you come off the bench, you might get 8.
Yes.
Or hey, we don't have anybody that'll just go be a junkyard dog and go get a rebound. We need you. Right. If you do that, you're going to feel like you're a huge part of us winning, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And like I just had a conversation with a girl on a team 2 days ago. She's a really good shooter, right? Really good. And when she tries to create right now, it just doesn't go well for her. And we got some good pieces. So I literally told her, when you see these 3 girls on the floor, you catch and shoot or you catch and pass. If you don't see those 3 girls on the floor, like you're in practice with the second team, I want you to shoot the step back jumper. I want you to try to create and get better.
Right.
Next year, I'm going to need you to do that. But right now, with these 3 girls here, you don't need to. Your life is easy. Just catch and shoot.
Yeah.
Don't make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? It's just knowing who you're playing with is really important.
Yeah, it is. It's such a good lesson, Ty. Such a good lesson. What are you doing early on to kind of figure out where everybody belongs? Because I'm learning that this time. I for 3 weeks I had kids playing together, and then about 4 days ago I was like, it's just not going to work, and I needed to make some changes and put kids in different groups. And all of a sudden I'm starting to see some kids flower because of it and blossom because of it. What are you doing to kind of figure that out and evaluate not only the individual, but how they work together?
Good question. And I think this year has been the most difficult year, because we lost two seniors that had been starting for 4 years. So trying to find the right combination of kids, the right rotations. Early on, to be honest, we mix up very specified. So we our practice uniforms are pink and gray. So I'll say, hey, so today U5 are in pink, U5 are in gray. And I'll even switch it up by the drill, but it's very purposeful. So if we're getting up and down, I'll put a potential starting five together. Then we'll break down in a drill that I make it equal. And then I'll go back to that drill where it's a potential starting five action where we're getting up and down, maybe 4 trips with a different starting five, possibly.
Okay.
And I have a coach that keeps a mental note of the fluidity of each five. We also keep track. We do a lot of tracking in practice. I'm lucky to have a ton of managers. Being at this high school, I'm able to recruit a bunch of kids that want to be involved and stuff. But like, tracking like how often this group of five gets a layup, how often this group of five gets a wide open three, how often this group of five goes 4 straight possessions with a defensive stop. Because all that information is valuable. But then when it comes down to who you start, that for us has been pretty consistent, but this year it's going to 100% depend on who we're playing. We have a starting lineup right now where if we're playing against some girls that can bang and they're big, we have a lineup for that. If we have a group that we're playing that's all guards and their skill sets are high, we got a different group that we're going to start and play predominantly that most of that game. So this year we're pretty scout specific with who we play, but I think making sure every kid on the team at some point in practice feels valuable is really important and feels that they're playing with girls that get decent minutes. So they're contributing. Because they know that when we go to like scout offense, they know that there's certain girls that are not, you're not going to get to run that play because you're never going to have to know that play. And that's okay. Like, that's okay. That's just one less thing you have to know.
Right.
But I'm always open. Like I tell the girls, I'm always open. Hey, if you think you want to add something different to that group, like I had a girl last year. She came up to me. She hadn't played much. It was about January. And she goes, Coach, listen, I know I've been trying to score, but I'll stop trying to score and I'm just going to get rebounds. And I said, you sure? And she said, yep, I'm just going to rebound everything. I put her in and sure enough, she's rebounding the basketball and ended up getting on the floor in the state title game.
That's great.
He didn't play till January.
That's so great.
So never putting kids in stone is really important for us too.
I love that. What is your substitution policy and process? I'm sure it changes over the course of a year, but how many girls do you carry on varsity?
I'll keep as many as I can. Last year we had 16. Year before that we had 15. This year we actually only have 13 because we ended up moving down a couple girls to JV at the last second. Just so I didn't think they were going to get enough playing time. And then our JV, so we go 13, 15.
Nice. And you're a big high school.
Yeah, we have 1,300 kids.
Yeah. So how many girls tried out? How many girls showed up for those 3 teams?
49 showed up day one, and then the rest. I didn't have to cut anybody. There was a kind of like some self-cutting.
Okay. You had some girls show up and figured it out that.
Yeah, they just didn't. They didn't ever play before. They asked me if I wanted to play, and I was like, "You can try. I'm never going to say no."
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay, so you got 13 this year. What's your substitution look like, and why? Why are you doing it that way?
So right now we got our starting group, pretty solid group. Purposely in that starting group, though, we have one girl. How do I say this? So 3 of these girls really don't come off the floor. Right now, we got to figure out who we're going to start rotating into their spots. And it should also be known that right now we're playing a 2-3. 2 years ago, we went to state with playing only man. We are now running zone, and last year we went to state with our 2-3.
Oh, the dirty word zone.
Hey, if you saw our zone, you find another word for it. I can promise you. It's
And what we're going to talk about, I want to know about it. Yeah.
um
All right. So you're playing 32 minutes or close to it.
yeah.
Okay.
And then the other two, we try to bring offense off the bench always.
Okay.
And that's another conversation with some kids, like, well, she can't score and I can't. Well, I don't need you to score in that group.
Right.
I need you to score in this group. Yeah, we try to bring scoring off the bench and some additional toughness off the bench, because we find that when we can withstand the first wave of any team and they have to go to their bench, then they're really in trouble.
Right.
Because now we just got more athletic. So I like to go cerebral first, because they're going to follow the scouting report to a T.
Yeah.
Then you bring in your athleticism and your scoring.
Yeah.
Because that second, we almost never win the first 4 minutes of the game. Almost never. But we will win the next 8.
Is it important to you to get to that point where you're winning the next 4, or don't you worry about it?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Listen, playing zone in particular, every coach is going to give you their best version of their zone offense.
Right out of the gates.
We are out of the gate. So they're at the advantage. That's fine. But guess what? In the first 4 minutes, you know exactly what your entire game plan is.
Yeah.
And now we're going to have a name for it to practice. Hey, we're running the Oak Creek defense.
Right.
So we move our alignment to then defend that action.
Yeah. Yeah. It's art of war. Go ahead and use all your arrows. Use all your bullets up.
Yes.
And then here we come.
Yes.
When you've lost your weapons, we're coming. I love it. Yeah. So you're typically in a game, you're going to play 7, maybe 8?
Yeah, I'll go 9. Right now we're going 9 just to see, like right now early on in the season, we always go 9 to 10.
Okay.
And then, yeah.
That's great. Okay. I'm going to be devil's advocate with you. I'm going to be that parent in the stands that's never played or coached before. Okay.
Never happened.
You just told me that you sent 2 girls down to JV because you were worried about playing time. You got 13 on varsity. You just told me you're going to play 9 or 10. What's the conversation with those last 4?
They got to be angels. But the conversation with them is they're going to be a part of something really great.
Okay.
And to be completely honest, and I think a lot of coaches would be afraid to say this, but I think it's very evident in our program because we're very transparent, that you can make the argument that the starting 5 on my JV team is better than those last 3.
Okay.
And that's on purpose.
Yeah.
But they're not better than the top 9.
Right.
You could even make the argument that maybe one of those JV kids is better than my number 7, but she's only a freshman, so it doesn't warrant the time that she was going to be sitting on the bench. I'd rather have her start and play almost the whole game.
How many of those last 4 are seniors or juniors?
3.
3. Okay. And the 4th one is sophomore?
Yes.
And you see her eventually making a huge dent. You want her to see varsity level practices. You want to see her to see varsity level competition every day. She's ready for it.
Yep.
But maybe not ready to crack your top 7.
Right. She's right there.
But she needs to be practicing every day at that level.
Yes, because come February, she's probably going to be either starting or top 7.
Okay. All right. Educate me on your zone. I want to know, what's it look like? How do I feel if I'm playing against it or coaching against it?
Very frustrated.
Okay. Tell me what you're doing.
Well, I'm not going to tell you too much, but I'll say.
Well, it's your mother and my mother listening to this probably. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not your average 2-3 zone. To put it into perspective, in those games where we've gotten down early, almost everyone, we still have never had anybody try to pull out because it doesn't even look like a zone really at first. We practice our zone about an hour a day.
Okay. Wow. That's great. And to do it well, that's what it takes.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you call it, in my slow brain, how my brain works, would you call it a matchup? Would you call it an amoeba? Would you call it?
It's No, it's just a 2 or 3 zone, but with very specific principles.
Okay.
I've done a lot of study, and there's a lot of really good coaches out there. If I say the name of it, I'll text it to you.
Yeah. Offline, I want to know more.
Hey, listen, I'll tell you right now, the guy that runs it is going to be on TV a heck of a lot more based on their transition to Division One.
Okay, so they're transitioning. Okay, good to know. Good to know.
The way it works is everything's predicated on where the ball is entered,
Okay,
direct action to it.
I love it.
Wings are coming down or wings are coming up. Guards are staying high or guards are going high post and top. It basically feels like there's 7 people on the floor.
Okay, yeah, and that's what a good zone should do.
Right.
That was Jim Boeheim's zone. You felt like there were 7 guys on the floor.
Yeah, the simple rule for us is just no 3, no corner.
Yeah.
We don't let you shoot threes.
Okay. Now tell me about the corner.
We don't want a direct snap pass to the corner.
Okay.
Because if you do that, you cause yourself some serious problems.
And I know you don't want to get too deep in it, but basically you're trying to funnel into the weakest part of the floor.
Yeah.
If you have to.
Yeah. So like if you can imagine a little half circle from free throw line kind of down to the short corner. If you could picture,
I got you.
Like we want teams as a terrible floor. We want teams to shoot the ball here. 15 feet.
All right.
If we can get a team to shoot the ball from 15 feet 20 times, we win.
Yeah, with a hand in their face at the girls' level. Heck yeah, absolutely. Do you feel when you look back at the last 2 years? I know you played man in the first one, but do you feel like whether you're in zone or man, that principle has paid dividends for you? Forcing teams to shoot that mid-range jumper, if defense is going to give something, it's that mid-range jumper from baseline, mid-range, short corner up to the free throw line. 15 feet.
Yeah, for sure. And even when we were man, I mean, I can speak on that too, because the only reason we don't do man now is because we don't, in my opinion, to make a deep run without really 10 to 8 pretty talented kids, you can't grind it out in man to man and make a long run with 7 kids.
Yeah.
Like if you don't have 8 to 10 that can really play in the athletic, we ran out of gas. That was our biggest thing 2 years. We just ran out of gas. But even then, we call it beating downhill. We close out really hard, pop back even harder. We just don't let them take. When we were playing man, we would just always call it not the initial on the catch. They can't shoot on the catch.
Yeah.
But if they want to catch, shot fake, you pop back, and then they shoot it, fine. Percentage just dropped about 15 to 20.
I love that.
But then once I retreat now, though, my goal is on any initial drive, I'm going to turn beat downhill. I get square between ball and hoop, and then that puts enough gap between us that player can shoot that pull up, but that's the shot we want.
Okay. Tyler, you've always had more patience than me. I love it. If I had that level of patience. Where were you 10 years ago when I was coaching women at the college level? I needed that then. All right. Well, great. All right. So tell me a little bit about, I want to go back to where we started.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about building a culture. Tell me what that looks like. Tell me what that looked like in the first year compared to where it is now. Because now you got kids that understand what you're doing. You've had success. You've got legitimacy. Coach Saxton knows what he's doing. There's none of that. I don't know anything about this guy. Does he know anything? You've proven that you can coach. What's culture building look like compared to a year ago or 4 years ago?
I think so. This might be a kind of a long answer. I hope you're ready for this.
That's what we want.
So basically a lot of reflection, a ton of humility on everybody's part, a lot of transparency. So for example, I started with the junior program. I knew going into my first year there was one returning kid on the varsity team. She was a senior. There was 14 seniors that graduated the year before.
Wow.
So I had an entire JV team that got moved up to varsity. And so I obviously had to build, they spent an entire year, we learned how to run an offense, et cetera, et cetera. But really where the crux of the work came in was my junior program. Coming into it, the junior program had third through eighth, and they cut at every level. They wanted to be an elite team program, and I just didn't believe in it. Not only did they cut, if they had enough to fill two teams, they'd cut, and this is a long-winded answer, but I promise you, I'll get back to the high school. They'd cut to 12 and 12, and they called it strictly A and strictly B. And strictly A team played and practiced with just those 12, and the other B team, A, B, whatever, they practiced just with themselves, separate from from each other. And I remember that was going on my first year. I was getting my bearings. I was getting to know everybody. I was trying to make practice plans, scouts against teams I know we weren't going to even have a chance to beat. And I'm at the junior Spartan banquet, and I see them call up eighth grade team A up, and then the B team up. Not even together. The kids they didn't even talk to each other. They didn't even sit at the same table. Seventh grade A, seventh grade B. And my skin is just crawling. I'm embarrassed. And this was just the norm, though. So at the end of that, I just said, I blew it up. And so as soon as that year was done in the spring of 2018, or 2019, I got rid of cutting. We never turned a kid away. And now we have kids on a sliding, no one's called an A or B. They're just the eighth grade team. They all practice together. Right now we have 27 eighth graders. And they all practice together. And you have to roster 6 kids into the A League. So there are 6 technically A players that will always play A. Now, do we have some kids that there's about 8 of them in that eighth grade group that their skill set is not great and they're working on it, but they only play B. But 7 through 15, they rotate back and forth between A and B all year long. And the point is they have to know, this is where the strong comes in. They have to know when I go out and play A, my role is changing than when I'm playing B. Now, once that got figured out, then I got rid of parent coaches at 7th and 8th grade.
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing. Yep.
Because it's not helping the kids. And it kind of negates any kind of resentment towards the system. Because I'll be honest, trying to run the high school system in 7th grade, they don't see success. But I don't care.
Yeah.
I want them to shoot the ball 10,000 times that year and dribble it a million more.
Yep.
And just learn the sticks and stones of the offense. And I don't care if they win a game. I think that was one of the biggest things is in the juniors, knowing that we don't care if we win. I don't care if you want to win a 5th grade state title. I don't care. So that's very known. And everyone knows now, like even from that year, and I got a lot of pushback. Ton. I mean, I was new. We had won 6 games in the first year. And I was like, well, it's just how it's going to be. And I had to kind of stand up to a lot of people. And I wasn't even that old either. So like a lot of people were like, well, you haven't seen this work and this and that, whatever. I go, you're right. But I just know what right is and wrong is. And this is right for kids. So anyways, we got rid of the parent coaches there. They're running the system. They don't care. The girls truly to this day, I can tell you with proof, they know that all they're trying to do is get better. And then when you trickle that into now the high school, I run it the same way. At any point, we can move kids JV2, JV, and varsity based on where they're at currently. Every Christmas, the coaches from 3rd through 12th grade, we get together, not all at the same time, but I'll meet with the juniors and I'll meet with the high school and say, hey, we need to reevaluate where should these kids be? Are we sure they're in the right spot? Should they be playing more in the juniors? Should they be playing more A? Should they be playing more B at the high school? Should we bring this JV girl up because these girls aren't performing? Where are we going to maximize everybody's potential? Because then once you get through that process of building that skill the whole time, understanding the systems that are in place, hearing the same verbiage, hearing strong, simple, consistent, understanding that the goal is to win a high school state championship and not just win a couple games by a gimmick zone or a press or a gimmick offense with a triple screen to get a bucket in 5th grade. Once you wave all that crap out of the way, you're really able to then realize what's important. It's skill development, understanding that I am a human being that can move around. If I work really hard, I will be rewarded, regardless of where I'm playing right now. And if I don't perform, I will be moved around. I have juniors on my JV team before. I mean, I wanted them for this year. I
Yeah.
have some varsity girls that are getting minutes this year that played JV last year because there wasn't room for them to get minutes on the varsity, and I wanted them to play.
Right.
That was also a very difficult conversation. But so I think we talk about that the culture piece to me is understanding that we're all human beings, we're all in this for the same reasons. But at the end of the day, true the only true thing that we are looking for is trying to become better humans and be better for the varsity high school team.
Exactly. The same words came out of my mouth with my youth program, talking to our coach, and they're still not there. I'm gonna have to kick some butt and clean house. We've got this mentality. We've got this huge organization called Gold Crown in our area. Well, everybody plays Gold Crown. It's like, okay, why? Well, because they've got a great facility and then everybody does it. Okay, that didn't answer my question. Why? Well, everybody does it. So where else will we play? I go, we have 2 courts. Our kids practice on our floor. I can make 10 phone calls tomorrow to 10 middle schools and say, hey, we're going to get rid of Gold Crown. We're going to pay for the officials ourselves. We'll play at your gym 5 games. You're going to play at ours at 5 games. And I guarantee you, I'll find 10 schools. They'll say, heck yeah, sign us up. And we'll do it cheaper than what you're paying to go to this Gold Crown.
Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't mean you can't do Gold Crown, but this is a school program. Let's start treating it like a school program. We're going to do it the right way. So it's not just offense, defense, rotation. It's everything. We have to decide we're going to be something else. If you want to be like everybody else, I'm the wrong person to lead you. We're going to do this the right way. We're going to take care of these kids and we're going to grow them. I can't grow them when they're at a different gym playing it, with a dad who's got his perspective on getting his son 25 shots. We're not going to, that kid's not going to be ready. That kid's going to leave his freshman year because he's going to play freshman basketball till he's a junior. And then I'm going to cut him because he's just not going to be ready for me. Right.
Yeah. No,
It's a mentality. All right. So I heard Jamie Dixon, coach at TCU. He was on a video clip the other day and they asked him, what was the toughest part of taking over TCU? You went from Pittsburgh to TCU. And he thought about it for a second. He goes, teaching these guys how to run the floor. They go, wait a minute. That was the biggest thing. You've got college age, full scholarship kids. And he goes, yeah. It took us forever to teach these kids how to move without the basketball and how to run the floor. Yeah. You're coaching girls, you're coaching high school girls. If I ask you the same question, what's the toughest thing to teach? What's the toughest thing that they have to learn that you struggle to get them to learn from the 6th grade up? There's anybody that's listening, there's a light bulb over his head. It's flashing.
Yeah, there's a lot because we were not good.
Okay, so pinpoint it. What's your pet peeve? When you're hollering and pissing a fit in practice, what do you find yourself frustrated the most that they're not being simple and consistent with?
I think that my biggest challenge, and this is probably a generality for all people who coach high school girls basketball, and some coaches might not care. I do. But the ability to learn and have the willingness to be tougher than everybody else. Mm-hmm. I think it's a word that the girls early on didn't like to hear because I thought it was equated with like guys or like being macho, and like there's a way to be tough and still be like our girls have the motto, and I'm not making this up. Last year they had the motto of look good, play good.
Okay.
They had glitter in their hair. They made sure they put makeup on, but and I was okay with it all because I knew that they were dogs. Everybody else knew they were. So they'd be the first one to run you over on a rebound. First one on the floor for a loose ball. Like those things, to me, getting them the ability and having honestly the inner freedom as a young woman to feel confident and comfortable and humble enough to get on the floor and to talk on defense and to talk on offense and be just tougher than everybody else, dude, you can win with anybody.
That's great. I love that. And you make my mother real happy because that was her slogan. Look good. You know, you're gonna learn well. You're gonna do good in school. You know, so I like that motto. All right. So coach, I'm gonna give you, this is gonna be a tough one for you. I want to finish on this. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I want you to have fun with this. Okay. You played for me for better parts of 4 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Tried to leave me for a while. Right.
Yeah.
If you could go back and tell your old coach and give him a piece of advice that you've learned now that you're a coach, what advice would you give your old coach back then to help you, to help your teammates?
Listen to me earlier.
Listen to you earlier.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, what's funny is I think that's probably where I've grown the most in the last 15 years.
I bet.
You know, I'm listening to the guys better. And not so much, it doesn't always what they're telling me
No.
verbally.
Yes. Yep.
It's what I'm seeing them react to.
100%. Yeah. No. And I say that, I mean, obviously it's part in joke, but part in like by the time I graduated, I was running everything.
Yeah.
I ran the offense, I ran the defense. If I wanted to change defenses in transition, we could change defenses. And for me, the ability to then give that to kids.
Are you finding you have kids that you can do that with now?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
In fact, I start grooming them when they're young.
Yeah.
To start thinking about making those choices for their team because they're the ones on the floor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You used to use the phrase all the time, like this is your team.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
And I use the same phrase, and it's no, I think any advice, the true advice I would give you back then is to, not let people think you were doing it the wrong way. Because I think some people were in your ear that,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you came in a really difficult situation. I was on my 5th president in 3 years, my 3rd athletic director in 2 years. And I just graduated 6 kids that have been started for me since their freshman year.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was having critical conscientious issues, but I was struggling to trust.
Yeah.
And so do I trust my freshman who I really did, my freshman point guard who I really did? And along with that, do I alienate my upperclassmen?
Right.
That was my struggle because we went from 6 guys that ran everything for 4 years to now we had the guys that were backing them up and freshmen. And it took me a while to figure out I've got to listen to my gut. My gut says I brought Tyler in for a reason. We need to run with that. And that was a really good lesson. And your senior year was our worst year record wise, but for me, it was the best coaching I ever did. 3-24, and it was the best coaching I ever did.
I don't think anybody on that team would disagree.
And
I don't think for a second.
If I could have removed girlfriends from the equation, we might have been 10 and 50 or 12.
No, all right. Darn right. Yeah. Hey, that was one of the proudest moments walking out of Missouri S&T.
Yeah. I was so proud of you guys.
That was the coolest.
Well, we played nothing but guys. Every team had a 4-inch every position advantage over us, right?
Yes.
I mean,
100%. I mean, if not more.
If not more. Yeah.
We
had Jordan Williman guarded the kid that was freshman of the year at the University of Iowa at 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
Right? Jordan Williman at 6'4". Talk about a dog.
Hey, I just saw him.
Did you?
Yeah, when I played, we went down to St. Louis to play Wilma's team. And
Oh,
because
that's great.
a girl from the team from my team last year, she's playing at Maryville.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
So very,
You guys were so fun to coach, man. You know, if I could have kept my wife in St. Louis, I probably would still be coaching there. But St. Louis was a hard stretch for my wife. But
yeah.
that was another thing going on, and family issues, we had kids at that point. We had a daughter and had a baby, and you know all about that.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but Ty, I know you know this. I love you. I'm so darn proud of you. You're
Love you too, coach.
it took you all of 2 years to be 10 times the coach I ever was for you. And I'm so proud that you're doing so well. I know you're going to have a big old banner up on your gym here sooner rather than later that says state champion on it. You've gotten to the precipice of it, and you just got to get over top of it. But love talking hoops with you. Love talking coaching with you. And anybody in the Wisconsin area that wants to see a great high school practice and really see somebody that loves his kids, thinks about the game at a high level, Brookfield East High School, right? I got it right?
That's right.
Go watch Brookfield East. Give him a call Coach Tyler Saxton, and I guarantee you, your coaching's going to get better. Your program's going to get better. Go steal everything. Go steal that crazy zone of his. Okay. If he'll let
Yeah,
you see some of it. All right.
man.
All right. Enjoy your new wife. Enjoy your boys. Have a great season. Call me if I can do anything for you. And we need to do this more often.
Sounds great. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, coach.
All right. Bye, buddy. Take care.
You too.